Real African stories and real African experiences. This is the Legally Clueless video series. And in this episode, Nyawara shares her story of getting into the world of acting.
So when I first got intrigued by acting was in high school. Actually, I feel like it was more organic because we had a drama teacher and us guys were just like during prep time, seated, chatting and everything. He just came into class one day and he was like, you and you, come to the hall. Right? Yeah. And then we went to the hall and he was like, yeah, us guys are doing a drama play and I want to cast you guys. So he gave us a bunch of lines to repeat and then he started like eliminating guys based on how guys were performing the lines. And yeah, I feel like that's just how it started. The role I played in the play was a male role. Yes. Because I had a deep voice, or rather I could deepen my voice. Yes, so I don't remember the character's name exactly, but it was a male role. It actually went very smooth because I feel like we were bouncing off of each other because we were all kind of new to it. We were all trying it and the director was really helpful. And he was like really great and patient with us. So plus, I don't know, I think I'm good at cramming. So the lines, I had the lines and everything. And yeah, after I did the play and I felt really good about it. And that's when I started now being more regular into the acting scene. After that experience, it became like an outlet for me, especially given the pressure of school and performance and everything. So after that, I continued doing plays. And then immediately after high school, I joined the Phoenix Theatre. Actually, doing plays was not the plan. My sister had actually joined the Phoenix Theatre prior to me finishing high school. My elder sister, Jerry. So after high school, she was like, you should come for auditions because guys are being recruited every year. So I went for auditions at Phoenix. I remember David Opondoy was the one who like did the audition. And then I got in and then now I got called back in for a play. So after I did my first play, it was called Roots of Shame, Seeds of Pain. Yeah, it was mainly about depicting gender-based violence amongst women. And I was playing a girl who was being abused at home by her uncle. Yeah, so we had all met like in a hospital setting. That's how the play was. Yeah, so we were all like just leaning on each other. Yeah. So for the preparation for that role, I remember I went online on YouTube and I started looking for stories by rape victims and stuff like that. And I just started watching. And after that, like there's this lady, I actually don't quite remember because I was just trying to forget about it after. But there was a lady that really struck me and I felt like this is the person I was going to represent during that play. So I really borrowed a lot from what I had seen online. And then that's how I represented it. Well, when you're playing a character, ideally the first thing you're supposed to do is separate yourself from the character because you don't want, because each character you're gonna like depict is gonna be totally different, have their own sets of trauma and all these things, right? So it was very much just reprogramming myself to this is not me, this is somebody else I'm depicting. So trying to separate that, but also it really affects how me as Nyawara thinks and everything because ideally when you're representing someone, because how I approach my characters is as a friend, I first watch you externally and I see you in my mind, right? And then I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go tell my friend's story. So yeah, so it really does actually affect you, just the way you think and just being more aware of things that really happen to actual people. Yeah, so at the time I was also thinking about school, but I also knew this is something that was really interesting for me. And actually, after the first play, I remember part of the audience, Karen and Anna was part of the audience, and Brian Monene, and those guys were doing film, and I hadn't actually thought about film. So after the play, like my first night, because the play was running for like a week. So after the first night, they were like, have you ever tried doing film? And I was like, no. And they're like, yeah, we have a script. I think it'd be really good. And that's just how I got into doing film. It was very, like acting for me was very organic. It just sort of kind of happened. I did a short film called Before and After by Karen and Brian. Yes, that was the first short film I did. And then during that set, I actually met Martin, who now connected me to Insignia Productions, and then now I went to do my first feature film, Lost Innocence. So my first day on set for the film was actually, I think I was more excited than nervous, because it was something I had seen. Like, I'm a fan of movies, I watch movies, but I never actually thought I'd be on a film, right? So I was very excited about it, and they were like, yeah, just be natural, you don't have to overdo it like theater, like just be you, like. And yeah, so, and the director was like really, really helpful. So I feel like I was more excited. Like, it was the naivety of not knowing what to expect, but the excitement of actually being behind the camera and knowing that people are gonna watch me on screen. So it was really exciting. So after the first film, like, the idea was actually, you know, when you're shooting a scene and guys, after the scene, guys are like clapping for you and they're like, oh my God, you're such a natural. And I was like, oh my God, am I? So it kind of happened like that, and that's when I actually got validation from the crew members and my fellow cast members on the set, because the guys were like, "Oh my God, like, this is your first time," and I was like, "Yeah, this is my first time," and they're like, "You're so good," and I was like, "Okay, I'll try this thing then." Yeah. So after that, I decided, let me do film, and also at the time, also Phoenix was having like a bit of issues, and then not long after, Phoenix got shut down. And I felt like that was like my first theater home. And I mean, I went for auditions to other theater houses, but I didn't feel like they were depicting the kind of stories that were being done at Phoenix. So that kind of died like a almost natural death with the theater house. Then now I got more into the film industry. I did that in 2016 or 15, thereabouts. So after, like, I hadn't gotten like another film for like a while, like a few months, and I was like, "Ay, Kwani, these guys, they didn't watch that film, like they didn't see me." So now I started talking now to like Karen and Brian and the guys I had met through the different sets, and then now I got to know now about going to the billboard at Kenya National Theatre. That's where they post like auditions and call outs. Follow this page online on Facebook and stuff like that. So now I started now being more intentional and now seeking out for more opportunities. So I went for an audition at Kenya National Theatre for a film I don't even remember. I was so angry I didn't get it. I don't like, I blocked it out of my mind. So I went there. We were like almost over 300 people, and I was just like, wow, so it's a hassle. Like, these things just don't happen. They've been happening. So yeah, so I got to know there, and I was really, really bummed, because now the trajectory was like, yeah, getting it, and then now getting to a point where they're like, yeah, we didn't like you. Like, we're not gonna give you a call back. So it was now going back to the drawing board, being like, hey, okay, so this thing is not as easy as I thought. Yeah, so that was the first reality check right there. So now that's when I now started looking for like classes online for acting, I wanted to prove them wrong. Like, even if you think I didn't cut it for that one, like, I'll show you. So how I handled rejection, or rather that first one, I really took it really hard, and I felt like it was like an attack on me as a person and as an artist, like not being good enough. But then after what's this called? You talk to people and they tell you like, me, I've been to 100 auditions and I've been rejected, and you're like, oh, so me, that one is just I'm okay, right? So, and then right thereafter, I just decided like not to let people's opinions like really affect me. So it was more like, when I get rejected, I was like, maybe that just wasn't for me, and I just leave it alone. But they also like give you like age brackets when they're doing the auditions. They're like, this role is for an 18 to 25-year-old looking girl and stuff like that. So sometimes it wasn't meant for me, because other times you also go on auditions and then the person that actually gets the role was not even at the audition, right? They're just like a veteran actor who's known. And it's just like, okay, you guys are just wasting our time. You could have just told us you're going to cast this person, but it's okay. It's part of the process, I guess. So after the rejection, I now started learning about it, because now I was like, maybe it's because I haven't gone through any training or anything. So I just started learning about it and also focusing more on school, just to help me forget the rejection. And then, so I actually didn't do film for like a while. for like a few months. And then now I got a call for Stella, which was also by Insignia, but a different director. So the previous director for Lost Innocence actually referred me to this one as well. So when I got that call, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this. So yeah, so that's when I now got back more into film. When I was actually approaching this set now, I was like, you know what? So this thing has come and I don't know when the next one is gonna be. So I'm just gonna do it, do my best, and then what's gonna happen is gonna happen. So that's how I approached the set. And I feel like I had more learned to be more confident in myself and listen less to opinions. It was more like just blocking them out. Yeah, so when I got into the set of this film, I was acting alongside Pascal Tokodi, who was like a really big name in the industry at the time. So I remember when I met him, I was like, hey. I was like almost starstruck, and I was like, okay, just play cool, just pretend it's normal, it's okay. So yeah, but he was like really cool people, very chill. We went through the lines. It made me feel very, very settled and less nervous about approaching the character. And then also the director, like everybody on that film set was actually very friendly, I would say, because they hadn't actually known me. So guys were like, oh, who's this actor who's acting alongside Pascal? Like, who's Nyawara? Like, we haven't heard of you. And I was like, yeah, I do this thing. I'm kind of good at it, so you should give me more. Yeah, so that's how it was. It was more like the set experience and the people who are actually on the set. Yes, I still had to do auditions. So I got some callbacks, but then that's when now I was starting to become more aware of the kind of films I was depicting, right? And I think that's where I started being more picky about the scripts I was doing, just because like I'd walk in town, especially now after being seen in a film alongside Pascal, people are now starting to recognize who I am on the streets and everything. And I remember feeling like, like these guys really know me. Like, and you know, like fans approach you from I don't know, it's almost very entitled, and they feel like they know you, so you can't actually have like a bad day even on your bad days, right? And then I was now that's when I went back home and I thought back to myself and I was like, I really don't want to be seen in everything. Like, I really want to be deliberate about the kind of films I am doing, because at the end of the day, people are going to associate the face with the film, right? Like everyone else who's crew, especially crew, like unless people read through the credits, plus they don't actually have like a face to fit to the name, right? But when you're an actor, like it's your face representing, and people out here are going to associate you with that film. So that's when I started becoming very deliberate about the kind of stories I wanted to depict. Yeah. So I turned down a few callbacks. I feel like most of the producers felt like I was being, I don't know, like almost bratty, because how dare you turn down the film? Like, do you know how many people really out here are looking for this opportunity, you know? And it was very difficult to turn down a script, to turn it down easy, just because I don't know if maybe it wasn't, especially for someone who's not like very known, to actually turn down a script. I think, yeah. So it was very I feel like it was shocking for them. And for me, it kind of blew back on my face, because now there are some scripts I really was interested in and I didn't get the opportunity because now I had already turned down, and then, you know what, really spreads really fast. So it was like, yeah, this girl, akona maringo. So I remember like I didn't really get a lot of films. Actually, didn't get any film, even the ones I really wanted to, up until now Supermodo. I remember when the auditions were rolled out, I actually hadn't seen them. So I only found out about it like way after they had already casted. So I remember I was having a conversation with Brian Monene, and he was like, yeah, there's a film Karen is doing with One Fine Day and Ginger Ink. And they already casted. And I was like, damn it. I didn't even know about those auditions. I was like, okay, sawa. So I don't know actually what happened for the lady who had been casted for that. But I remember I was in school. I was at an ISEC meeting. And then I got a call from Likarian, and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm in school. He's like, can you come? No, to Ginger Ink. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. The person we had gotten is not available anymore. So this role is now yours. And I was like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah. So I remember I dropped everything. I even called off that semester. And then I went to Ginger Ink. I met the guys there. people are just running around. It was like a very big production, right? And I remember just being mic'd, was taken to costume, being dressed up, nini nini. I did like a mini screen test, and then we started rolling out in 2 weeks. Like that's just it just happened. Like, you know, like most of the films I've actually done have just really happened for me. So actually, it was more of a validation of, you know, when it's yours, it's really yours. Yeah. This film, I feel, got more international recognition more than local, because I didn't, like, it was, interacting with people was very, like, those one-offs. It wasn't like as regular as I thought, because, you know, the film was really doing really big in the international spectrum and everything. But locally, like, even like the guys who had actually watched it are either like into film or know somebody in film. Like the guys I was interacting with were those kinds of people, because it was a movie that was premiered now at Prestige. Guys don't really necessarily like go to the, what's this called? Guys don't really go to cinema to watch local films. They go there to watch the those really big films, the international films, right? So it was more like, this one I didn't actually get that much recognition on ground as I had thought. I thank God. But yeah, so it was more from people who are actually doing film or knew someone who does film. Those were the kind of people who are actually now reaching out to me, being like, oh my God, good job. Like, where have you been hiding? We didn't know you, and all this stuff. Yeah. So, and then COVID hit, and it really hit the industry really badly, because now all sets were shut down, you know, and like there are restrictions of the amount of people you can have like on a gathering and stuff like that. And, you know, like a film set is like really huge. There's like numerous crew members running around. There's now the cast, the guys are doing logistics, the caterers, like there's so many people. So the industry was really like on a low. And I remember talking to most of my friends now, they were now, like, they couldn't sustain the kind of living they were living like through the film. So now mostly they were now moving back to their parents' houses, which was like a huge setback and a blow, right? So I remember also at the time, because that's the time now when I was now being really excited about now partnering with my friends to do films and everything, and then now we can't actually do a gathering. So I was like, you know what, I need a job. So at the time I knew like most companies were actually letting people go. So I knew the only people who are going to be employed at the time are startups who are starting up during the pandemic. So I remember I was Googling like startups in Kenya and all these things. And then now I got to see the company I'm currently working at. I'm doing part-time. So I applied for the job, and then I got it. I started as an intern, and then I've just been gradually growing. I feel living off of a film-related career in the country is harder for the newer people. I feel like if you're like a veteran, or if you've been in the industry for a while, you already know people who know people, right? So like you get really regular calls. Most of these veteran actors don't actually audition, or if you audition, it's like a closed audition for like the selected few, right? So I feel like if you're well known or if you're well connected, you can really live off of it. But if you're new, trying to get into the industry, then you'll need like another source of income. You can't rely on the film industry. Yes, so we're during the pandemic. I got a call from the Nest. Actually, I knew Noel, who was the director of photography for the film. I had known him, like he was one of the people who was actually also trying his hand on directing films and everything. So we had done something together before. And then now I got this call. So it was more like a closed audition, right? And then I remember he was like, yeah, so we're doing a film at the Nest and we want to audition you. So he told me like, this is a date, this is a link. Yeah, see you then. So I remember when I logged into, I think I was at the office. Yeah, when I did the audition, I was at the office. So yeah, I just went to like a quiet room, sat down by myself. At the time, the team hadn't really grown to like the numbers that we are currently. So like there weren't so many people at the office. So I went to like the back room, Okonyuma, sat by myself, closed the door, and then now I logged into the audition. So during the audition, it was really difficult because I remember it was, first of all, it was online, which was very new for me. It was the first online audition I had ever done. And then I couldn't really see the guys I was auditioning for, right? Like they were there, but I'm not looking at them. I'm trying to focus on delivering the lines and proving to them that I'm the best for the role, right? So I remember like, because when I used to do auditions and the physical auditions, you could read a room and you could feel like, these guys are really liking me. But for this one, it was online, and I just remember after the call, I was just like, I don't know, man. Did I deliver? Like, I don't know. Like, I couldn't read the room, and I was a bit nervous about it. And I was like, you know what? If it's mine, it's mine. And I was like, yeah, it's fine. So I did the audition, and then after, I think it was a week or two later, then I got a call back, and they're like, yeah, you got the role. And I remember I was so excited. I remember I actually scrubbed, and I was in the office at the time as well. So the best thing about it is now I started as an intern doing data analysis, and then now I became a junior data analyst. And I was doing part-time because I still had school, right? So that at least gave me the flexibility. Plus, the managers in the office were like really young people, so it wasn't like the traditional setting where you have to be at the office from 8 to 5. It was more performance based. As long as you're delivering on your KPIs and your work is being done, you don't actually have to be at the office, because it was actually partially remote, partially at the office. So I feel like that gave me a flexibility to actually do the film. So in the film with The Nest, I was playing 3 different roles. They were more different given the time period, but I felt like they were very connected. So it was Nema, a journalist in the past, and then Caro, who had just been homeless, given this injustice of people wanting to put their personal gains ahead of other people's. And then also Jay, who was now a hacker who had lost her sister in this promised trips for opportunities abroad, right? Yeah, so the characters were more all fighting for a type of injustice, right? So I felt like they were very similar in that sense, but also like the overall feeling was like, we need to do more. You know what I mean? Yeah, like people just need to be more aware and actually more. It was sort of like almost like a call to action, right? Like just like these things really affect people. People are out here actually suffering and being impacted. And I felt like it was more like also for me, like calling me out on, like, sometimes when things don't happen to either you personally or someone you know personally, you don't really feel it, or rather you'll feel it, but you won't actually be pulled to action on anything just because it was outside of you, right? So, and I felt like it was almost like we were getting to a period where the country was almost like there's a normalcy of bad things happening, and it's just like, yeah, these things, they happen, And it was more like just being aware and just like more evoking you to actually do more. The 3 roles actually did change me, because ideally every role that you depict, you borrow something from that character, right? And you actually apply it in your personal life to better yourself, or one way or another, just changes how you look at things in general, right? So it actually inspired me to now want to do film myself. Yeah. After that, I remember talking to different writers, just because like I had stories that I want to do, but I don't know how to transform the story into a script. So it was more now sourcing for like-minded people who now really want to do it. And I'm actually currently working on something with a friend of mine. And now it's more like, it actually made me become more deliberate about, again, the stories I'm doing and the films I actually want to depict. Because now we're at a time where guys are actually doing their own, right? We have cases of people who are directing, producing, acting, starring in their own films. So I was like, why not do it? Yeah, plus I already know the kind of stories I want to tell. I already know the kind of message I want to put across, right? So now that really... it really evoked me to now want to do something for me, as Nyawara, yeah. Well, right now about acting, I'm actually very excited, scared and excited at the same time, because, when you're putting out your film out there, it's like, it's a level of vulnerability. Like you're letting people into how you think, what's your thought process. So I'm very excited to now just like come up with what's this called, like release films that I have actually sat down in the writer's room, partially directed, and also acting in it. So it's more scary and exciting to do your own thing, just because you're just putting yourself out there, and it's like you're like bare chested, like it's just a level of vulnerability that's really scary. So I really applaud guys who are actually already doing it for themselves, and now I'm just excited to start for me as Nyawara.
Thanks for watching this episode. Remember, you can catch new Legally Clueless video episodes every Friday and new audio episodes every Monday.